ever, and this time I'll actually send a "we're live" link since Matt said, "Oh, you just sent me a 30-second video, so I didn't watch it." I was like, "Really, Matt? Come on. You didn't think that was the actual stream?" Since it was, 30 seconds.
Oh man, how was your day though? I guess I saw you like 24 hours ago, so.
Yeah, a little stressful.
Let's kick back and relax and just enjoy ourselves on this lovely Monday.
Yeah. Oh, too much driving.
That's all. Oh, I can imagine. Oh, we'll try to make this one a quick one.
It's not gonna be quick.
It's half an album.
Yeah, it's half of like an almost 2-hour album.
Okay, true.
I'm sending.
All right, are you recording yet?
Yeah, I told you we went live a little while ago.
Okay. Just double checking.
Yeah, we'll wait till 40. About 5.
Yeah. So
Where's the...
So what'd you all do today?
Well, I wasn't awake until like 11. Malia didn't
Good.
want to wake me up. She was up at like 8, she said.
That seems pretty par for the course, honestly.
I was like, you could have woken me up, it's fine. I would have been alright. She's like, you were like totally knocked out though. I was like, yeah, but it's 11. I went to bed at the same time you did.
Oh, well, at least you got a good night's sleep, right?
Yeah. Still tired somehow though. I could have kept sleeping.
Maybe you just need to catch up on some sleep then.
That's true. It could be.
You're a busy man.
Yeah. Not really. Not really. I mean, today I've been very busy, it's felt, but
So how long did you stay at Malia's then?
Probably until about 11:45ish. So.
Okay.
Not super long, but after you left, we watched Game of Thrones.
You watched what?
Game of Thrones.
Okay. Which episode?
1 through 3.
Oh, nice.
Or maybe
Have you
1
seen it
through
before?
4? No, I had not seen it before.
How'd you like it?
It was good. I liked it. Quite a bit of a time sink, but...
Well, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Isn't life but a time sink, if you really think about it?
Yeah, man, it's just... life is too much of a time sink. Yeah, and then the drive home was pretty long because there was a couple sections of road that were didn't have a shoulder because of construction.
And wait, which road did you take to get down there?
65.
65.
So there were a couple cars that broke down, and when they broke down, that means it condensed to one lane because there was no shoulder. So I was just sat on the highway, stopped for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, because there was. I mean, it's not like it was a flat area. The road's kind of raised, so if they got any more off the side of the road, they would have just rolled over into the ditch.
No. Well, that's no bueno. Yeah, it was all just D&D for me today.
How'd that go?
Pretty good. I had a fun time.
Man,
it was a good DM session.
Managed to get everything written last night?
What now?
Managed to get everything written last night?
Yeah. We had to speed through it a little bit, though. Unfortunately, we're going longer than I anticipated.
Because you started at noon, right?
Yeah. It was chunky.
What time did you go till?
Oh, like 6:30.
Dang, that's a long session.
Oh, yeah. Well, we gotta get him in while we can, so we go hard.
That's true. I could never keep you guys engaged that long.
It's all about
I think it was
storylines.
Jonah and Matt, though. Matt would kind of start getting bored.
Matt just wanders off.
Oh,
All right, you ready?
yeah, sure. Transition. Oh, I'm gonna have to do the text editing on the fly because I didn't do that beforehand. Oh well. You can go first, and then I'll put my opinion in that. But, all right, but we're here. We're started.
Hey, all right. Welcome back.
Special Monday episode, Monday holiday episode.
Monday holiday episode, Memorial Day weekend. Here we go.
A little bit late. I was my fault this time. Although the original 8 p.m. What are you, GST? Yeah,
Central Time.
CST. 8 p.m. CST, 9 p.m. EST was Cooper's idea, but then that extra half hour was my fault because I hadn't listened to the music yet.
Hey, well, you listen to it now.
Yeah, and I was out of the house helping somebody.
So
but
now we can launch right into it.
Dive right into the
Dive right in. We don't need an introduction. You
well,
know what we're talking
we
about.
probably should. This is The Wall Disc 2 by Pink Floyd. We did this one last time.
We did.
You know, just
so
in
you want to
case.
listen to that? It should be up on YouTube.
Yeah, it is on YouTube.
So you can give that a listen because I'm guessing this one has a lot to do with the first disc.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
A little bit.
You want to kick it off?
Yeah, we can start with the first song on disc 2, which is Hey You. So what do you think about Hey You?
Again, like I said last time, I guess I'll just treat this like it's a completely separate entity from the first one. A majority of the songs that I know are Pink Floyd songs that I know are from this album, as I found out. Never listened to the album in its entirety before, but of course I've listened to Pink Floyd. But this one, you know, very calm. It's the sound that I associate with Pink Floyd, really. You know, that guitar, acoustic guitar, very, very British singing. Almost parody-like singing. And yeah, I mean, it's a perfect segue from the end of disc 1 into disc 2, because you can't start off the second disc with like some crazy guitar and like going all out, especially if you ended the last disc kind of calm. They kind of got to build back up to that point before going back out.
No, I agree. And this whole song is very calm. Very, I really like the acoustic, and really it does keep that energy. Because I'm assuming most people would go straight from disc 1 to disc 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep that very low key energy going, so as not to just jolt you suddenly.
Yeah, suddenly shoot you into some hard, heavy rock.
It does have some percussion. It's got some kick to it. It's not just acoustic.
Yeah, but the acoustic is very beautiful, very beautifully played.
It's a very beautiful song.
And to kind of
certainly
round out we've been doing a bit of the plot, explaining that as well. So I looked up the plot again this time. Okay. I feel like it helps understand the song. This is basically, he instantly regrets building the wall, is what the song is.
So that's pretty quick.
Yeah. So it kind of, I noticed a lot of this second disc is written at the upper end of Roger Waters' vocal range.
Right.
So to give him, you know, that desperate kind of cracking to his voice. And he gets...
No, and he definitely gets desperate in this disc.
Yeah, but in this one, you can kind of start to hear it at the end of the song. He goes up, and he's kind of freaking out that he's cut off from the world now.
Where he starts to get that, upper register.
Yeah. It seems to be the favored register on this disc.
Yeah, this disc is, at least for a lot of it, I noticed it's a lot, at least the first half is very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Not slow like necessarily beat-wise, but like kind of mellowed.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I'd say even more than just... Okay, yeah, first half. I was looking at my page, I'm like, yeah, actually, no, I'd say it's more than the half, but then I scrolled down and remembered there were five other songs after where I thought it ended.
It's a big album.
And this is just disc 2. But yeah, the slow works, though, because that's kind of what they've been building towards. Because usually you build towards something grand, but in this case, they really just pull back continuously.
Oh yeah, yeah, I would have to agree. With just all the keeping it very mellow, especially after that cool down.
Yeah.
You don't really pick up until the end.
Yeah. That's a weird way to end an album, kind of building up to the end and then dropping off, as opposed to the classic parabolic.
Yes, parabolic, parabolic.
Yeah, that.
Yes. Well, yeah, and then it kind of keeps the energy going straight into "Is there anyone out there?" as well.
Is there anybody out there, Cooper? Not anyone.
Oh, whatever. Same difference.
But yeah,
it still keeps that acoustic style.
Yeah, it's more spoken word though than singing in this one.
Yeah, I definitely noticed. Yeah, it's I guess he wants to give his lyrics. I guess maybe his vocals. He wants to take it down just a little bit.
Yeah,
and maybe maintain a more subtle energy just for this first half. I don't know really whether maybe he just wants to get a little more story into there, because it is a rather short song.
Yeah. But I really love the second half of it. Is there anybody out there? Because the violin kind of comes in around the 2-minute mark, and it's just the solo guitar, and I got Led Zeppelin feelings throughout that whole part. And I'm a big fan of Led Zeppelin, and that's kind of their musical style with the acoustic and the violin. And there are even a couple chords in there that I was like, sounds like they're kind of starting to do that kind of thing. I'm sure that's not what they were going for, but that's just kind of what I picked up on.
Okay, that's interesting. Because that's actually, I like the Led Zeppelin comparison, because I was thinking on Hey You, I was kind of, at the end of it, I was getting kind of ethereal Foreigner, the band Foreigner vibes.
Okay.
Like, they have a song called Star Rider, where it's like a very spacey, ethereal type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which got kind of the energy, but it still has this sadness to it. So I was kind of getting that. So maybe, actually, I believe those bands came after Pink Floyd. So maybe they pulled from this.
That's true. That's quite true. Yeah. Pink Floyd it was hailed as progressive rock / pop. So progressive.
So maybe we're getting like
classic,
influences from there down the line. And I did like how it kind of had this kind of ebbing and flowing with it.
Yeah.
Though it did seem a little more stopgap than.
Yeah, it's kind of
every now and then there's a song on this album where it's like a little more transitionary than like its own standalone song.
And there seems to be a lot of them on the second disc, especially.
Yeah, this second one definitely
just kind of
has some gaps.
Yeah,
some quote unquote empty spaces.
And I like to imagine this is kind of like the extension of Hey You, where he, is specifically asking people, and then he stops seeing the people, and he's just kind of saying, "Is there anyone out there?" As he kind of like fades back into himself,
Okay.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree on that one. I think it's definitely got a clear storyline there. This is kind of his sad, kind of mopey phase.
Yeah.
Before he takes a turn for the worst.
Yeah, this is the depressing point before he goes crazy.
Yeah, this is not going to get happier.
Yeah.
Because he's actually even going forward past fat. These first 3 songs are really, I feel, kind of like a trio of songs.
I would say Nobody's Home is way different. That's kind of Nobody Home kind of goes back to disc 1 with the background noise, and it's outside of himself as opposed to all of it taking place in his mind. Because disc 2 really is kind of just inside of his head. But disc 1 was kind of showing him interacting with the world. Since, the wall is up now.
Right.
It takes place inside of him because there's a wall, and he doesn't interact with the outside world. Whereas Nobody's Home is kind of a third-person perspective of him, where you can kind of just hear his thought, or not hear his thoughts, but it's just a third person perspective of him, as opposed to you sitting inside of his head with him.
Okay, because I was kind of basing it off like the titles, like it's almost like a full sentence there, right? Hey
Oh,
you,
okay, I
is
see
there
what you're
anybody
saying.
there? Nobody's home.
Mm.
So maybe that's just a little more speculative than they meant to go for.
I see what you're saying, though. I didn't pick up on that.
I will admit that Nobody Home definitely has it's definitely got a different motif than the first two songs, where this one's a lot more piano based.
Yeah.
But it still keeps that kind of wistful, remorseful vocals from "Is There Anybody Out There?"
Yeah. Although less spoken word and more
Less spoken word, true.
singing, and kind of hauntingly sung too.
There's this first half of the album is rather haunting overall.
Yeah.
You don't turn this on at the wedding to go dance.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would. This is the song you put on or this end of the album is what you put on at the end when you want everybody to leave.
This is the clearing out album.
Yeah. Not to say it's not good. It's just
No,
a
it's just
downer.
not. It's a bit downer.
Yeah.
Some of the songs on the first disc, if you just didn't look into them, they sounded happy. But this one's like, this is wearing it on the sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Making it. The lyrics are depressing and it sounds depressing.
It sounds depressing. The old double whammy.
1-2 punch. But yeah, going into the plot of this one a bit. Actually, this one had a bit more than plot to it.
Okay.
It was the last song added to the album.
Oh, really?
And it's not so much... they wrote it more for themselves rather than the story. So,
how so?
Roger Waters, the vocalist, based it off his experiences from the band's first major stadium tour. And then it also references a Pink Floyd founding member, Syd Barrett,
Right.
who had, his fragile mental state during 1967. And one of them, and then the nicotine stains on my fingers. I got a silver spoon on a chain. I got a grand piano to prop up my mortal remains. Are written about the pianist Richard Wright, spelled with a W, who was struggling with cocaine addiction at the time. So it's kind of like taking all their issues and putting it into a song.
Okay. So it really is like it's the story, but it's also about the band struggles themselves.
Yeah. Who wrote this one? It was Waters. Waters wrote this song in addition to singing it. He wrote it in 2 days after they got into an argument about not having enough songs on the album.
He wrote it in 2. Wait, he wrote it because they didn't think they had enough songs on the album.
Yes.
Well, that is that's pretty hilarious. And guess what?
Rather, it's
30 isn't enough.
Not that they didn't have enough songs on the album, but they challenged. I think there was an argument, and you get into an argument like, well, if you think you can do it better, why don't you? So they challenged him to write a song, and then he wrote this one in 2 days, and it ended up being like most of their favorite song on the album.
Hey, well.
So yeah, it's a good one.
It is a good one. I do really much like this song. It's very beautiful.
And a little bit less progressive rock than Is There Anybody Out There, but still kind of out there to say.
It is out there. That's what's out there. Is it
the song
itself?
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah. Do you have anything else to add for that?
Nope.
Okay. Because these first three, honestly, I didn't have too much to say about overall.
Yeah. I wrote a bit more about the actual songs this time rather than plot, and then kind of just left Wikipedia to handle the plot. So I was listening more to
the instrumentation and
instrumentation, yeah. And these are all a little bit repetitive and also very short, a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a big thing I noticed of, which we had some on the first disc, but also here.
Mm-hmm.
Of just like these next two are really short, like a minute 30.
Song 17, Vera. Or
So it's
Vera,
like
sorry.
yeah, Vera's like Vera and Bring the Boys Back Home are less like songs, more like ideas.
Yeah.
They're like transitioning to Comfortably Numb, which is like the song for
Yes.
this first half of the album. So it's all kind of build up.
And
So
Vera specifically kind of feels out of place.
you think?
Yes.
Is it the organ? Does that like pull you out?
No, I love the organ. You know me. If it has organ, I automatically think a little bit higher of it. But
You do like organ?
it, like I don't know if you looked this one up really at all, but it specifically talks about Vera Lynn.
Vera Lynn, is that a person?
Yeah. So you didn't look. Okay. So this one is really because he's just kind of singing things, you know, and it's basically him saying, "Hey, you remember that song from Vera Lynn? You know, we'll meet again. Where'd she go?"
That's it.
And then the song ends, and you're like, "What the heck was that?" And it like I guess you could thinly connect that to him wanting to meet his dad. But I don't know. It feels like a weird. It feels like it would have been better placed elsewhere. But I guess he's kind of like slowly regressing into madness, and he's like, "Where'd this lady go?" Even though he wants to see his dad. I don't know. This one is a weird song in quotations.
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, it's like I said, it's barely even a song on its own.
Yeah.
It's more of an idea packaged with some like organ in the background, which I guess has more going to it than the next quote unquote song, "The Bring the Boys Back Home," which is almost more sound effects than. It's like some sort of national anthem, more or less.
I will say the transitions between Nobody Home, Vera, and Bring the Boys Back Home are phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
they just all flow perfectly into one another.
The transitioning between the songs are godly. It's definitely made to be with each other.
Yeah, but
again, it's like a minute 30 song that has like patriotic chanting and like like revolutionary drum type things to the background.
Well, what I picked up on this one was, and this is song 18, "Bring the Boys Back Home," was more of Pink singing along with it rather than singing it, because there's that choir operatic kind of singing.
Yeah,
and he is. What is it? Waters is going at the absolute top of his range at this point, so his voice is just constantly cracking, and giving him that kind of like. He's not going for crazed here. He's going for like desperate.
It definitely has that. It's got like a very not scream singing, but like kind of like whenever someone's performing at a stadium, like the national anthem or something.
Yeah, but he's. I don't know, just the absolute desperation in his voice. And the plot, we'll go to the plot for this one. This tying into his dad, it's him as a child. It's they use this. Hold on, let me say it. They use this quote all the time in the article. If I can find it. It's supposed to be like. Not letting war or careers overshadow family relationships or leave children neglected.
Yeah, well.
It's kind of weirdly not really a sentence. But
really isn't. It's not what I got from it. But.
Yeah, it's apparently they drove the point more home in the film. But it's like, again, him wanting to meet his dad. And this was used at there was like when the Berlin Wall came down, used as like an anti-war kind of shtick, since it's a very politically charged song, despite it being kind of bad. Very grand though, very grand with the choir and the full orchestra and all that.
Oh yeah, it's a little I don't want to say off-putting, but definitely like takes you out of the state of mind you got from the first 4 songs.
Yeah,
they just come busting in with the army march.
And I would say this song would be terribly placed right before Comfortably Numb if it didn't use over 30 seconds of its minute 30 runtime to transition to Comfortably Numb.
Which, speaking of which,
It does.
Comfortably Numb. Now, this is a song.
The most iconic song on the album, I'd say.
6 minute and 22-second song. Longest one on the album. So I guess he's making up for all the shorter ones right before it.
And, making it an actual song.
And yeah, like you said, one of their most famous songs. I'd say their most famous one from this album, besides maybe Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this one because it definitely maintains some heart pounding thumping, and the vocals kind of still maintain that wispy feel, but I feel like it's packaged here into a complete actual song where all the pieces come together.
Yeah, I had written down here, it steps back into the classic rock style, but remains reserved to not outrun the kind of slow pace that this disc has had so far.
Yeah, it's basically a classic rock injection into the first half of this album.
Yeah.
Right, we got the same DNA, but now we've kind of molded it into a classic rock song.
Yeah, slow classic rock that doesn't feel plodding.
And it's not plodding because that helps a lot with good percussion in the background. You get your sick guitar solo break, of course.
Mm-hmm. That still manages to stay slow.
It's slow, but also slow, but you can tell a lot of thoughts put into it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Pink Floyd might be the kings of the slow rock song that doesn't become a rock ballad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's not many of those. Because most of the time it just becomes a ballad.
Yeah. But these stay pure rock, also being able to maintain a lower energy. Which, and yeah. It's like I said, it's these first couple songs are all just kind of building up to Comfortably Numb, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is the song.
It's like the centerpiece.
And also, I don't know if you noticed, but it fades in and out rather than having the transitions to kind of set it apart from everything else.
Oh, like a radio type edit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did notice that on the listen through of I guess we may have been taking a little bit for granted on this album, but all these songs really run together. And yeah. I guess maybe Comfortably Numb, I mean, the most logical reason I think of that is that this is a single, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is a single, but it's kind of set apart. Man, this is a hard one to describe because it's so iconic,
Right.
Probably everybody's heard it. If you haven't, how? And it's not driving. That's the thing. It's just. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep stuttering over my words here, so I might as well stop.
No, I get what you're saying. It's not like a driving song, but it doesn't plod along.
Yeah.
It maintains its pace without dragging its feet, which is impressive, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Because a 6-minute song that has a slower pace can really become a bore.
Mm-hmm.
Not handled properly. And this one somehow manages not to do that. Which is really a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah, and they transition between, his internal monologue and the doctor that's, helping in quotation Pink's character and all that.
Yeah, so I think Comfortably Numb, it's probably if any song you're gonna check out on this album, probably be this one.
Yeah. This one, and I mean everybody's heard Brick in the Wall Part 2. This one, Brick in the Wall Part 2, and Mother are probably the three most iconic, I'd say, off this album.
Right, coming out of here.
And this one actually had some real world story to go along with it as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the chorus was written by the guitarist David Gilmour, and it was written about the bassist. The verse and lyrics were written by then bassist Roger Waters, who also does a lot of the vocals. He was injected with tranquilizers for stomach cramps before the 1997 In the Flesh Philadelphia tour.
Tranquilizers?
Yeah, because he had such bad stomach cramps, he couldn't perform. So he said, those were the longest 2 hours of my life, and trying to do a show when you could hardly lift your arm was terrible.
So I guess comfortably numb.
Yeah.
Or maybe uncomfortably numb.
Yeah, so
So that's a little real world inspiration. And this is unrelated to the song, but I just remembered it off the top of my head. I'm reading that apparently this is like their last Pink Floyd, the main 4 members. I get this is like their last project all of them worked on together.
which I can't say is super surprising, granted the number of arguments I've seen. Like, in almost every single, like, kind of background behind the song is like, yeah, we fought about this, we fought about this, we fought about this. I'm like,
So it's really the final official Pink Floyd project. To be fair, this is like their 11th album. So 11 albums is not a bad
not a bad
number
run.
to get out.
Yeah.
So, but still, it's kind of interesting to keep in the background.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some internal friction going on between the band members.
Yeah, like I said for Nobody Home, they had a fight and they wrote the song. So,
I mean, for an album that's kind of built on negative emotions, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the Comfortably Numb has one of my favorite endings by far with that guitar solo, and then the characteristic fade out instead of a smooth transition to give it that finality.
Which I find kind of interesting, just because the next song, "The Show Must Go On," really doesn't it maintains a very similar artistic style to "Comfortably Numb."
Yeah, and it
kind of drops the vocals and just kind of adds a little more acapella ahs and oohs.
Yeah, and it's kind of actually, the show that he's being drugged up for. So the fade out, while it makes sense for what they're trying to achieve, it doesn't super go well with the story.
Right.
Because it's all one. And this is literally happening right after that. So maybe it's him, like, passing out and waking up on the stage. Who knows?
The show must go on.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Which, yeah, The Show Must Go On is another one of those, it's a little ditty.
Yeah.
Of kind of bridging between Comfortably Numb and In the Flesh. But it's got some pretty acapella, some pretty vocals in it.
Yeah, and you might be thinking, Cooper, that, man, that acapella sounds a lot like the Beach Boys at the time. Right?
I did get kind of a Beach Boys vibe from the very end acapella.
Well, that's
like the
because
last 20 seconds.
It was supposed to be the Beach Boys.
What do you mean?
It was going to be the Beach Boys. They agreed they were going to show up. They canceled literally like 2 hours before they were supposed to record.
What?
Yeah.
Canceling on Pink Floyd. So
yeah.
I guess they just got a Beach Boys sound-alike?
Yeah. So there's a lot of Beach Boys-esque stuff and from here on out, it feels like. And that was because, they were kind of supposed to be there.
Hey, well,
it was written for them, and they just kind of had to go with it since they canceled the day of the recording session.
I guess imitation is the finest form of flattery, right? So
yeah. Although, what's on the radio more nowadays? Pink Floyd or the Beach Boys?
Huh? Pink Floyd. Hey, I mean, Beach Boys, they're not exactly dropped off the face of the earth.
That's very true. Yeah. That's a fair point, but,
Hey, maybe they should have gone.
Maybe they should have done it.
But yeah, so, I don't know. There's not much to say about The Show Goes On.
Yeah, again it's another one of these kind of transition pieces.
But there is definitely plenty to say about the next song, In the Flesh. This time without the question mark.
Yes, different song. Although same opening motif.
Oh yeah, it sounds, if you've listened to the first In the Flesh question mark on the first album, or the first disc, this one has a very similar instrumentation.
The opening is actually exactly
really famous
the same.
guitar riff. Yeah. But this one has some key differences. Especially lyrically wise.
Well, some of it is lyrics. Some of it is him just talking.
That is true. So I guess energy wise, we should probably talk about how this is. I think this is like the first time it actually starts to pick up.
Yeah.
Like
Well, this is where he starts to go
It's in the
crazy.
flesh. It's like a very classic rock song type beat or speed, where it's really got that stadium energy.
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to get, since it's technically him performing in front of the stadium audience.
Yes.
As he starts to hallucinate.
Yes, and Sam, would you like to describe what exactly he's hallucinating?
Well, let's see. Remember last episode where I said there were Nazi undertones and you didn't believe me? Yeah, this is it. He begins to hallucinate. I cannot speak today. He begins to hallucinate that he is a dictator, and yeah, he basically thinks he's Hitler.
Yeah, and he really goes all out on it. He's this is just from a cursory listen, but I definitely picked up him asking about like if there's any Jewish folks in the theater, if there's any gay folks in the theater, and he was saying some rather negative things about them.
Well, yeah, actually, the only one he asks about is the gay people. The rest, he's like, "Hey, he looks Jewish." Doesn't even ask. And
which at that point,
yeah, and he says,
it's starting to go off the rails.
And throws a couple racial slangs out there too, saying to put him up against the wall, and then the final lyric is, "If he had his way, he'd have them all shot."
Yep.
So
they commit fully to the darkness there.
Yeah.
So this is really whenever In the Flesh is definitely where it goes from like depressive manic episode to straight on delusion.
Yeah, he kind of completely gone crazy at this point. Thankfully, none of it's actually happening.
Yeah, this is all part of the story, obviously.
Yeah, it's just him. I'm seeing even in the context of the story, it's just him kind of hallucinating everything.
And as far as I can tell, for the rest of the album, it basically is one big hallucination.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, it's all hallucination from here on out. So we went from being inside of his mind to seeing projections. I don't know where we're going from here. But
or going deeper in the head.
Yeah.
Because next it seems like he's almost like it's like he's running away from the police or something. The next track on the album, "Run Like Hell."
Yeah. So, "Run Like Hell," I had this. It's really most of it is in being spoken at you through a megaphone. Actually, no, sorry. That's the next song. "Run Like Hell" doesn't have much lyrics. It's got the driving guitar beat in the background, and kind of every once in a while they throw in marching feet.
It's a punchy synth.
Yeah. But "Run Like Hell" was intended to be directed at the listener, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's basically trying to... It's like, get out of the way of the Nazis, or whatever.
Well,
it's... I don't know. It's an okay song. It's not great, in my opinion.
It's kind of got I kind of got like an Eye of the Tiger type vibe from it.
That's just because there's a constantly repeating guitar in the background.
Well, that's true. It's a little repetitive, but I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Repetitive like running would be. But it does maintain that high energy. Though I would agree that it goes on a little longer than I probably need to.
Yeah. It's yeah, I would agree it's longer than it should be. But it's like a 2-minute, 3-minute song, this one, right?
It's like 4 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, definitely way too long. It's an alright song. It's just not...
varied enough.
Great, yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it ties into "Waiting for the Worms," track 23.
23. This one is I like this one. I kind of like the because this vocal, the singer's vocal range has been kind of very smooth, I guess, and this he kind of gets a little more gruffer and tougher.
Yeah.
Like vocal wise, it's got a little more attitude to it.
Yeah, and it brings back kind of the Beach Boys stuff too, which is really offset from the gruffness.
It's like Dirty Deed done dirt cheap beats the Beach Boys, which is an interesting combination.
Very interesting. There's a reason this was art rock, rather.
Right. It also kicks off the theme of being more theatric. There's like
Mhm.
this chanting in the background, and like this like thumping kicks and like these harmonies, and so it's kind of building up. It's becoming almost like more stage play like.
Yeah,
At
and
least
there's
in my
also
head.
the megaphone that you can't understand a single word of.
But you understand the spirit of it.
Yeah.
It's not a good spirit.
So like the plot of this one is kind of, some of these are good. Sorry, the Wikipedia articles of this. So I'm like, yeah, I got a lot to say on the plot of this one. But some of them are bad. Like what was it? It was In the Flesh. Sorry, In the Flesh. The plot, or sorry, The Show Must Go On. The Show Must Go On. The plot is literally just it tells the story of Pink. Okay, thank you. So some of these are not great because when you can't understand what it's saying and it's hard to find the lyrics or the megaphone part. Um, it, it's hard to pick up the plot yourself, rather than have it spoon fed to you. But this one is kind of him seeing himself as the rising dictator of Britannia.
Oh.
So he's basically after the megaphone, it cuts back to his normal voice, and he's saying like, "Wouldn't you want to see Britannia rule again?" Harking back to the British Empire.
Oh. Hmm.
After
So
picking up all the stuff from Hitler.
Right, very authoritative in nature.
Yeah.
But of course, it's all still part of his delusions. So.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to be having like if I had to guess on their social comedy commentary happening there, it's kind of like how and him kind of becoming a recluse and closing himself off is having him adopt these more radical ideals, which is honestly not something. It's not too uncommon in like the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting that done through a imaginary rock star.
Yeah. And this is, pretty. I mean, not super close to the end of World War II, but it's still pretty fresh in everybody's mind at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this only came out in
97.
97.
Sorry,
Yeah,
79.
79.
Dyslexic.
So, yeah, I mean, it's still like 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's that long ago.
But, I mean, the Cold War was still on, and
the ramifications were still going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, after waiting for the worms, I feel like we shouldn't even have to talk about Stop.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-second piano dip.
And you just kind of yell, "Stop."
That's it. And it stops, and then the next song starts. So we shall stop as well.
Yeah. And in the plot, it says the hallucination ends, but that's incorrect because this whole next part is probably the most overtop hallucination.
This next song. So this is song 25, The Trial.
Yeah.
This is basically like Pink Floyd does Bohemian Rhapsody. It's a super opera-esque orchestral type performance of a trial, I assume.
Yes, it's a trial. I gotta say, I'm really not a huge fan of the completely over-the-top British accents he does.
I like him.
Like, they're British to begin with. How do you make yourself sound so outlandish with your own accent? I kept thinking of Monty Python whenever anybody was doing a voice.
Well, for my perspective, this is obviously the point of the song is that everything's kind of exaggerated.
Yeah.
This is like a stage play, right? When you're on stage and you're performing, all your movements, all your facial expressions have to be large.
That's a good point.
So that the audience can see. So it's like that crammed into an audio format.
Yeah. Especially
with very
the accompanying
bombastic type performance.
The accompanying oompa.
Yeah, you got the oompas, you got these English as English accents. And even like the vocal effects of like whenever he's saying the word crazy.
Yeah,
it sounds crazy the way he says crazy.
But it's because he's singing at the top of his range again. Not
He
necessarily
definitely
for some
likes
of
just
it, but
staying at that range.
yeah,
And I also noticed that the vocals were like switching between like your left ear and your right ear
mhm,
as well. So it kind of adds to like you're feeling like you're going a little bit crazy with it too.
yeah, and it brings back characters from all over the album. Like there's the teacher from Breaking the Wall Part 2. Like, hey, I didn't get to beat him enough. Give me 5 minutes and I'll fix him.
Yeah, that was the problem.
And it brings back his mom, who's like, I should have never let you left home and stuff like that. And it also brings back his wife, apparently. So apparently he was married.
Ah.
So all the way back in disc 1, Don't Leave Me Now, he wasn't a breakup with his girlfriend. That was his wife leaving. So a little bit harsher than we originally thought there.
No wonder he walled himself off.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is definitely. I'd say this is probably the point on the album. It's like the most experimental.
Yeah, but it's not as dark as I thought. Or listening to it when it's going through it all, because near the end the judge comes in and it's kind of a mishmash of all the voices so far, and his ruling is that he has to tear down the wall,
which is interesting because that's kind of like a positive in this point.
Yeah. So this is going back to the plot.
Right.
The whole trial is actually because he is being charged with showing feelings of an almost human nature. That's what the prosecutor says at the beginning.
Huh.
So he's being tried by himself for a crime against himself because he's trying to interact with his fellow humans, defying, the purpose of the wall.
Okay.
So it's a weird kind of backwards. You set up these fake rules for yourself, but you broke them, so you got to deal with the consequences now, and you got to expose yourself, as it says at the end, and tear down the wall. So,
interesting.
Good outcome for bad reasons. Very, very strange.
Which is, I guess, a net positive?
I guess, but now he's got to deal with, like, the wreckage.
His internal monologues, like sabotaging his own attempts at being a terrible human being.
Yeah, sabotaging and self-sabotage.
That definitely does feel like it's kind of coming to a head in terms of like all these delusions.
Mm-hmm.
Which is this is a really good example of the music matching the idea of a man arguing with himself.
Yeah, and I mean this is all taking place in his head in a hallucination, even though it's supposedly the hallucination stops in the other one. But it's it's a particularly good way to wrap up the album, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, because it feels like I don't know, like I can imagine this is a movie. I haven't seen it, but I can pretty much picture the scene in my head of the dream sequence of the being in the courtroom type thing.
And you have no idea. It is.
Oh, I'm sure it's exceedingly British.
Well, not only that, but it's a complete craziness of dream sequence, because apparently this whole segment is animated in the film, so they can do whatever the heck they want.
Whatever they want.
Yeah. The judge is portrayed as a giant pair of buttocks.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. Complete with 2 backward-facing legs and an anus for a mouth.
Creative.
And a scrotum for a chin.
Okay, well that seems a bit extra.
Yeah. But don't worry, near the end, the judge apparently morphs into a giant conglomeration of genitals.
That's not what I was worried about, but
yeah.
Well, interesting. I guess that really adds to the craziness of it. And I guess it ends the only way that a song called album called "The Wall" could end, which is everyone chanting and kind of the vocals like fading and fading and fading until you finally hear.
What, Cooper? You cut out there for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, chanting "Tear Down the Wall." Right. It's the only way you can end an album called "The Wall," and then the song itself ends with a big, like a wrecking ball going through a wall as it all crumbles down. Which is a pretty fitting ending.
Yeah, accompanied with a cacophony of explosions and crashing as it gets further away, as it the complete wall falls down.
Oh yeah. So and then I almost this this last song I almost treat more as like an epilogue.
Yeah, I would say the trial is really more the end of the album. This is kind of just here, outside the wall. Sorry, the 26th track on the Wall album,
And the final.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one, just a short little ditty with some children singing in the background as he kind of spoken words it to the end.
Yeah, and this doesn't really do anything for the story of Pink, the main character that we've been following throughout this whole album. It just kind of here, it's almost like a narrator saying, "Don't let this happen to you."
It's the moral of the story.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the moral, and the song itself does have plot with it. If you do not tear down your metaphorical wall, some might eventually give up on you and leave you to live out a lonely life. And interesting, Waters refused to provide any explanation to this song, so it's probably got some for such a crazy album with some very heart-wrenching kind of motifs and themes. This is probably one of these guys. It's a little too close to home.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that a lot of personal experience. I mean, it's about a rock star losing his mind.
Yeah,
which I'm sure Pink Floyd had some experiences with that.
Yeah, and at least this has to be one of them, if not Waters himself. Especially since this was kind of their last thing as a group. So
yeah, and even outside of the kind of meta of knowing that this is their last album together, I feel like it ends on a even more bittersweet note than like you would initially think, with the whole tear down the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I'm sure you noted this as well. It's the fact that the album itself kind of loops into itself.
Yeah.
Which what I forget what they say at the very end, but it's like,
isn't this? And then if you go back to in the flesh to mark, and it finishes where we came in.
Which at least from my perspective, is kind of like notes that it's really the wall came down, but it's all cyclical.
Yeah, especially since
everything's just going to repeat itself again.
Yeah, especially since In the Flesh is the hallucinatory dictator Pink addressing the listener of the album. Remember where I said at the beginning where this is him saying you don't know my story, man. It's a little more sinister. It's
like, I know your story now, and it's even worse than I imagined.
Yeah. You might be wondering how I got here. And then the album repeats itself. So.
Which I think kind of lends a more sinister tone to like the trial.
Yeah.
Because sure, the wall came down, but it wasn't like really his decision.
Yeah.
And he's just going to do everything again anyways.
Yeah, it was more of him punishing himself.
Right. It wasn't coming from a real place.
Yeah. But it's not like time's going to reset, because you got to remember the album starts with him as a kid.
Yeah.
So
I think it means like more in like a grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you're someone who like Pink Floyd, like I said, World War II was like probably right around when they were born, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe it's more of a meta commentary on these kind of dictators rise and fall, but something will rise again, right?
Yeah. The South. Wait, hold on.
Hold up.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's a fitting end, but it's not really a song. It's just kind of talking with some slight music, and
which in a way isn't that the most fitting way of all for this album?
Yeah, that's a good point. Quite a few of the things on here have been transitional storytelling kind of pieces.
Yeah, and that's the last song right there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess now we've reviewed both parts.
We can kind of rating and say our favorite song.
Do a full assessment rating now.
Mm-hmm. And I fixed the text, so it's up on screen now. We've got our unique, stylish rating system. We got Showroom, which is 5 out of 5. Like New, Fixer Upper, Used Rental, and Scrapyard. Kind of the don't
Bottom
listen
of
to
the
this,
heap.
it's garbage. Since it's Audio Shop.
You gotta do things like cars.
Because we both know so much about cars.
Every detail.
Every detail.
Yeah, so I think I went first last time in terms of the review. So you wanna take it first this time, Sam?
Well, why don't you go first? Because I have to type out. We didn't discuss this beforehand like last time,
yeah.
So I actually have to type what you're about to say.
Then I will go first. So overall, and just my my complete view of both parts of this album, I think this album pretty much the perfect example of better than the sum of its parts. Because if you were to just look at this album and be like, oh, okay, and you click shuffle, you're not going to have as good of a time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a story, and more than that, the songs are built off of each other. There's an ebb and flow to it.
For sure.
So you can't just pick a song in the middle and kind of hope you can. There's like a couple singles in there where it might work, but like 6 times out of 10, it won't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really an album that is a concept album through and through. Like some people put out concept albums. There's like it carries like maybe a theme or some sort of motif, but this one is solidly in the camp of this is one complete story. So it's like it'd be like trying to read a chapter out of a book.
Yeah.
And not starting on the first one.
Yeah.
Which that can be off-putting to someone. I can imagine. Like not everyone wants to sit down and listen to an hour and a half long album.
All the way through.
To get the full experience of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually going down the route, I think this is basically like the textbook study of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tells a complete story, rise, fall, emotional characteristics, main character and like his side stories, and a good diversity of like energetic, sad, crazy, classic rock and roll. And so I think obviously this is considered a classic for a reason. Pink Floyd basically kind of helped define this kind of concept out in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess overall, I'll start with my my favorite and least favorite songs. I'd say my favorite song was probably either Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 or Goodbye Blue Sky. Which kind of, I think, capture both the energetic classic rock style of it and kind of the attitude in Another Brick in the Wall. And the Goodbye Blue Sky captures that melancholy, lower key acoustic feel of the album. And then worst song is, this is kind of hard because in a sense, you can't have a worst song when like all these songs are so interconnected. Like, can I pick Stop as a worst song, even though it's like barely a song?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but you gotta think of it in terms of song rather than story, because we've had a hard time this whole time, I'd say, separating the music from the plot.
I guess in that case, I'd probably have to go with Empty Spaces, because it's decently long. It's like 3.5 minutes, so it's a full song, and it just kind of I don't know, it was a little repetitive. It seemed like if I took it out, it really wouldn't lose too much in the progress.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's hard on an album like this where they kind of all build off one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my overall rating there then is probably, I'm going to say like a strong Like New. Where I'm taking a little bit down from Showroom just because I can understand where it's almost a lot to handle. And sometimes you have to really listen to it to get the story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you dig deep, you can find it's very satisfying. It's got a lot of layers to it.
Yeah. So, I'll go with my least liked first, since that's the last thing you talked about. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. I mean, I agree that Empty Spaces is pretty repetitive, but it's far and away not the worst on the album, even like looking at the plot. I'm probably gonna have to go with Vera.
Okay.
Because even within the plot itself, it just doesn't really make sense. I mean, I guess it kind of portray him going mad, but then you got Bring the Boys Back Home for that, and Bring the Boys Back Home does a better job of, talking about his dad than Vera does. It just seems kind of random, and maybe that's what they're going for, but that's certainly, in my opinion, the weakest. And then for favorite, I'm gonna have to go with Comfortably Numb.
Hmm.
I know that's pretty basic, but I have.
Well, I chose another brick in the wall part too.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. I have loved this song for as long as I can remember. It is phenomenal, in my opinion. Um, and it's always a treat when it comes on the radio. You know, crank it up a couple extra notches. But yeah, it's it's definitely a definitive album. There's a reason it's hailed as a great, and I'm also gonna have to rate it a strong like new.
hey, good taste.
Our ratings lined up for once. It's very, very good, but you kind of have to take the whole thing into perspective, and without sitting down and looking up the Wikipedia page for each individual song, you miss like 70% of the plot. It's not really one you can just sit down and be like, yeah, I got some time. I want to listen to some music. Let's listen to the entirety of The Wall.
Right.
It's a great album. It's certainly something you should sit down and listen to, but I'm not sure how many people are going to want to sit down and be like, you know what? I want to listen to a whole album that tells a story with that's this in depth as The Wall. There are other albums that I think people should sit down and listen to for the story. ELO Time, that's a great one, but that's, you know, a lot more surface level than The Wall.
The story's a little more supplemental.
Yeah.
Here, you know, you get right into the, you know, him becoming like Nazi-esque.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're looking for, it's pretty confusing.
Yeah.
It's pretty startling.
Like with other albums, the story is a feature of the album. This one is the story drives the songs, leading to Stop, a 30-second song, Vera, which is a minute 13 and doesn't really have much to do with the plot anyway, it feels, you know. Bring the Boys Back Home, which is another like minute 13 or minute 27 song, and it just sets up Comfortably Numb and kind of his descent into craziness. Like, you would never write Bring the Boys Back Home for a non-plot album. Or, you know, The Trial.
Right.
So it's very good, but while the plot is a major feature and makes it amazing, it's kind of also its downfall to make it like new rather than showroom.
It's both a strength and a weakness.
Yeah, it's not approachable for the general audience.
Which, you know, not all good albums have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But you gotta know what you're getting into when you're going into.
Yeah. And it's got the singles, which makes them much more approachable and kind of, you know, ready to dive into this kind of large-scale dig that is listening to the whole album. So.
Hey, and the music definitely doesn't suffer from the...
Sorry, suffer
which
from
is always a net positive.
Suffer from the what? You cut out again.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the music doesn't suffer from the story.
Yeah.
Which is always a net positive.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, very good. I enjoyed it. I had fun talking about it. I don't know... Splitting it up works, but it feels like it's not necessarily worth 2 episodes, as terrible as that is to say.
What is?
The album.
Yeah. I guess it had to be just because lengthwise.
Yeah, I mean, we're already at an hour now, and we were an hour last time. There's a lot to talk about, especially like what we probably spent like 5 minutes on talking about Vera, and then another 5 on.
Yeah, even some of the short songs.
Yeah, so it's just deconstructing even the ones that are just kind of there to transition.
Yeah, but...
And I say deconstructing like we know what we're talking about.
Hey, I definitely feel like I understand it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, we understand it more, but not as much as, you know, some people do.
Ow. But we also know it more than some other people, so I consider that a net win.
I see this as
and
an absolute...
Maybe I learned a thing or two about not becoming a Nazi, so you know.
Which,
we all learned a lesson today.
I don't think I was having an issue with that, but...
Just tuck that one in the back pocket. That's for future use.
Don't isolate myself completely from society. Got it. Wasn't planning on it, but...
But you never know.
You never know.
Well, all right. I think that's all I have to say about the matter.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see you guys next week as well.
Yeah, and that one should be on Sunday. Knock on wood. Is that? Wait, that's gonna be June, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be into summer officially.
Ah, yes, June 2nd. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have anything going on, but if we do, we'll tweet out about it and do some odd Saturday or Monday thing like we did this time.
Yeah, and like I said, you can find us at Twitter. That's going to be Twitter at AudioShop14.
Come on, Cooper, you should have this memorized by now.
I just said it right now.
Yeah, I heard you typing on your keyboard.
No. That was from my brain.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, follow us at AudioShop14, and we'll give you messages of when we're going to be coming out next.
Yeah, and you can also find us on YouTube. Just look up Audio Shop, and drop us a comment if you want. I'll be better about checking those. I should have checked before this episode to actually talk about it, but I didn't. So, but if you drop us a comment, we'll comment on it like we did for Avocado Pirates last time.
Yeah,
and
commentary is always welcome.
Yeah, it's nice to get feedback. Or if you want to say something in chat, maybe we'll talk about it here at the end, but not during, obviously.
Of course. Well, yeah. So I think that's it for me.
Yeah. All right. We will catch you next time.
Hope to see you next week.
See ya.